Welcome, ladies. Welcome. Yes, as you can see, studio. First of all, I want to say it's been a minute since we actually did this.
Yes, it has been.
A long time. A lot of things has transpired, as you can tell. New studios, new setup, everybody. You can actually see us in a better light.
Yeah.
They get a nice comfy chair. I get my own comfy chair. We get water. We all the amenities that comes along with it.
Yeah.
But so today's episode is we're just going to close off on the school system, the education system. And I want to just recap of what I did last time. So I bashed the system like I always do. I do that. And at this point, people already know how to do it, so I don't even need to say sorry for it. But I bashed it from a system standpoint, meaning that the system is not geared for us. Never was, as it was never intended for us. And it probably won't never ever be like that in our time frame or my time frame, personally. I feel like there's a lot of things that as being Black, we have to fight just a little bit harder. And the expectation for us, it's not that high. Not that high. Like I had this talk actually last night with a client of mine, and they was asking me about the polls and like how do I feel about the presidency. And I was like, still gotta get up and go to work. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like the very next day, and they're like, yeah, but don't you feel that Joe Biden is for the Black community? I'm like, why would make you think like, oh, because he's doing this, I'm like, you understand what breadcrumbs is? And I went into like a whole segment. Like I'm not gonna repeat because it was like a long, like I actually had to stop the workout, and they were like, I think you should run for presidency. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not Kanye West. I'm good. I'm good. And what I saw with the president or being in the office did to Obama, I like looking young.
I know that's.
I'm sorry. Like I like looking young. I don't want to walk in there looking like I'm 20 and leave out like I'm looking like 80.
Yeah,
so
true.
Cool. Shout out to Obama if you're actually watching. Yes. But as the system itself, like there's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of loopholes, and I found every last one of them. Every last one of them. Even till today, like I still found more.
Wow.
And it doesn't change, and it's surprising that we push these education systems or the systematic way of thinking on our kids. And then they expect us to just formulate and just integrate into society and just be okay with it. Some people do.
Right.
Fortunately, like me, it doesn't work that well. So it rubs me the wrong way. As you know, if you don't know, let me just recap. My partner is a school teacher. And I feel bad for her. I really do. The reason why I feel bad for her is because we had a lot of arguments in the beginning, about the school system. And she defended it. I mean, like it was the holy grail. And slowly she started seeing what I was saying. And slowly she started realizing that they speak, but there's no actions. And then just recently, she just witnessed what I talked about in the rawest form, and it hurt her. Like it devastated her to a point that she's quit it.
She's quit. Wait a minute, she's quit. She's gonna stop teaching?
Teaching in that school.
Wow. That's good.
10 years of teaching. It took one hard-headed guy to open up her eyes to see it. And in some ways, I do feel bad. I do. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't push my ideas on people, and I didn't push my ideas, but I'm not gonna sit there and have you praise a system that I know that it failed me. And to give it praise and like, oh, this is the way. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I told her one thing about me is I'll be a hypocrite to sit here and shake your hands and be all cozy with you, knowing in the back of my mind, I hate the system and give you the praises on it. Like I can't, like I'll be a walking hypocrite.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. So she has witnessed a lot and, I do feel bad, but the segment is more about basically from all three generations, from my generation, your generation, and on how did y'all feel technically you're still in school
Mhm.
and you still on your career path. I believe you are going back to school, right?
Going back for psychology.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We got 3 people in the room.
Yeah.
Watch out, people.
Well,
So I want to mainly you. I want to hear from because I haven't heard from you in like a decade.
I know it's been a minute.
Like damn, like I feel like I'm like deprived and like a crackhead. Like I mean, I know we talked briefly about you being in the West Hartford school system and that you was the only Black kid in your class, I believe, right?
One of few.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you was the one that stood out more, like you start standing up for certain rights that they wasn't talking about and stuff like that. Talk about let's just talk about the graduation and going into an all Black community when you went to college. Like, how was that all about? Like, was that a culture shock? Like, hello,
Yeah, definitely.
hello now.
It was because like within the Black community, I just realized there's a lot of different types of Black people. That in high school, it was kind of like if you're Black, we're friends. There was no question about it. I just felt more comfortable if someone was Black and I'm Black. And it's like, you could like anime, I could like whatever, and we're going to be best friends. And that's literally how it was. Where in college, it's just like, okay, like I have to choose who to hang in as a group of Black. Like, what? Like, I'm not used to that. Because, like, I'm used to, again, just if you're Black and I'm Black, we're going to be friends.
Okay.
That's how it was. And now going to HBCU, it's kind of like, well, everyone's Black, so we can't be friends with everybody. So you got to...
You black, you black,
You got to choose which one you want to be friends with. And
Right.
it was hard for me because, you know, like, I'm that, like, nerdy person where, like, I talk about politics, I talk about different things, but I'm a chill girl. But a lot of people are not interested in talking about that, where most girls are interested about, like, you know, materialistic things like getting a Birkin bag, and I'm just like, "What's a Birkin bag?" Like,
I was about to say, what is that?
It's a bag.
Isn't that right? Like, it's a nice bag. It's expensive.
And like most girls are just they're into materialistic things. With me, I'm just like I'm not like that. So I had to learn how to separate myself from like, okay, like this is not who I am, nor would I try to make myself fit that picture, because I tried that in high school and like that didn't work out for me. So I'm gonna be me. And that's that. But recently, though, when it comes to like the school, I got into a debate with my professor, and my paper is on my school district.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I thought I was defiant.
And
I thought I was bad.
And that was kind of challenging because, you know, she was like, you know, what's something bad in your district? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And she was like, what's bad?
I know, right?
Yeah, and I'm just like, and honestly, like, I couldn't tell her what was bad in my district because, truthfully speaking, like, how my district is, we have 2 high schools. So one high school is predominantly, like, it's more minorities. And then the one I went to is less minorities. It's the fact that where it's set up, the high school was it across town for me was closer to, like, Hartford, and the school that I went to is closer to Avon. So that divide is going to happen. It is what it is. Exactly. So she was like, well, it has to be some type of racial issue. And I'm just like, there is, but that's I can't put my experience in a research paper.
Right.
You just can't do that. And she's like, there's something bad has happened. I'm just like, there's really not. Like, as far as research goes, there's not. Because if you talk about diversity, there's diversity.
Right.
2 separate high schools, but 1 district. That's how they get away with it. And we fought like tooth and nail because she was like, this has to be one thing, and I'm just like, there's not. With my school, we're top 10 public schools in Connecticut.
What was she looking for you to like bash the school system?
Basically, like, what's something that you want to fix? And I'm like, yeah, I want to fix the diversity, but like, how can I do that when truthfully we're under one policy?
Right.
Okay.
So even though it's 2 high schools,
right,
that's one statistic, no matter how you put it.
Okay.
And she wasn't getting it. And I'm just like, you have to realize, like, I don't come from like a school system where like it's predominantly urban. I come from a suburban area. So I don't know what it feels like to be put in the urban setting and get education. I don't. Can I relate to it? Probably. I don't know. But my fight has always been like trying to stand down and get equals among my suburban peers. That's it. It hasn't been like not getting a lot of funding. It hasn't been like I'm struggling in school. It was never like that. So like I tried to tell her that, and she was like, I'm not understanding where you're coming from. And I'm like,
wow.
And she's a professor.
So wait.
Yeah.
Let me get this right. She was looking at you, thinking that you came from an inner city and want you to talk about an inner city school,
Yeah.
but in which that's not the case. You
Exactly.
came from a predominantly actually high-ranking school, so the adversity that she's looking for, you can't speak about.
It's not there. And then again, like the school that I went to, it's in an urban setting. So like a lot of people, they come, I won't say they come from unfortunate situations. Where with me, I'm not familiar with it. Right. So it's just like how they talk about the hood and the struggle. I'm just like, what are you talking about? I don't know.
I read about it.
Yeah, and like I don't want to come off as like that privileged Black girl, but that's how I come off as. Because it's like, you know the struggle? And I'm just like, I know the struggle of being Black in a white area, but as far as being Black in a Black area and still struggling, no, I don't. And it makes me feel like the bad person because I'm just like, maybe I should have went through the struggle. Like she puts that projection on me where it's like, how come you didn't go through this when every Black person did? Like, what makes you so different?
Do you want to go through that struggle?
No, I don't. Like, I really don't.
I was ready to say.
I'll be like, we can stop this right now. We can go to Hartford.
No. No, I don't. I don't. But that's how she comes off as, you know? Like, are you better than everybody else? Like, how? Like, you don't come from the same starting point as everyone else.
So basically, she's discriminating.
Basically,
all Blacks are supposed to come from
the same struggle.
Because again, like the school that I'm in, they're inner city kids, so they come from the high schools are going to be in the city. So she's like, well, you're out of state. And she's basically like, why are you even at Morgan? And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Why are you at Morgan?
I was like,
I'm so glad I didn't hear that conversation.
Because like I just didn't understand. Because I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, you just come from a good background. Like, what made you pick Morgan? And I'm like, why wouldn't I pick Morgan? And she was like, you could have picked Howard, you could pick Spelman. Like, why Morgan? And I'm just like, because I just wanted to go to Morgan. Like, are you saying that people that are not educated go to Morgan? Like, I'm not understanding what you're coming from. Like, I'm really not understanding.
Okay, but they're all HBCU schools, so regardless
because it's the fact of credibility. Howard's like the Black Harvard. So if I say, oh yeah, I go to Howard and I'm come from a good background, I can see it. Okay, Morgan, it's kind of like, why'd you pick Morgan?
It's the status symbol.
Right. Exactly.
So exactly. You are Black privileged, so you should have went to
Harvard.
Yeah.
Howard,
right. And I was just like, I never understood it. And I was talking to my friend about it. Her and I were good. I told her everything. And she was just like, don't feel bad because your starting point wasn't like mine. And it's true. Her starting point is different than my starting point. But it doesn't make her less than because ours is different. It is what it is. We're still in the same race. She's Black, I'm Black. At the end of the day, they see us as one thing.
Right.
And that's that. It doesn't matter your starting point. Right. So as far as the paper goes, I just sound so privileged and it kind of killed me when writing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Thank you. I said the same thing. Like,
because
I'm about to say your mother and your dad fought tooth and nail to give you
and
that.
I'm grateful for that. I am. But it's just like, it comes up because basically I have like a thesis and everything. And it just basically, my thesis is like how suburban schools are better suited than urban schools. And I talk about, the income taxes going straight to the schools. I looked it up. And when I come to my district, I think they spend $22,000 per student, like each school year. And I'm just like, that was mind blowing. Because in Hartford, it's like $14,000 per student. Mm. So like that was kind of like, dang, that's a huge gap. And then looking at the income tax, the mortgage, like all of that, like even like the income, the two-family income, like I was like, dang, like I'm really like blessed to have all this without even realizing it. Like that's crazy. And looking at like Hartford school system, I'm just like, wow, like they're really struggling, like to the point where they're having their own students beg for funding by the state. Mm. That's crazy. And with me, we never did that. Like when it came to like trips or like having extra money on the side, it was always if my parents didn't have it, hypothetically speaking, someone else's parents did. They always donated. So it was never an issue of I don't have it. It was always an issue of if you don't have it, speak up because we got you. Yeah. Okay. And with Hartford kids, it's not like that. It's like they really don't have it. Right. And with again, my district, we offer like I think 25 to 30 AP classes. So I can easily get ahead in school. Hartford kids can't do that. Because again, you have to pay to take that exam, which is $95. And you're taking five AP classes, $95 each. How are you gonna pay for that? Right. So with this paper, I have learned a lot. I bash it, but then I'm kind of like, dang, like I'm kind of grateful for it now because like things that I've learned, I wouldn't have learned that if I went to a a school that wasn't as funded as my school.
Okay.
So I look at it now as a give and take, where it's like, yeah, there's of course going to be bad with every school system, but I am privileged enough and grateful enough to have the education I do have now, because again, like my school now at Morgan, some things they talk about, I'm just like, I listened in high school. Why are you learning this now? And not realizing like these kids now really they don't get it. They don't understand. Where I'm just like, this I listened in high school. This is like legit my junior year learning this. Like, y'all just not learning this? And they're like, yeah, I've never heard this before. And I'm just like, okay, that's different. Like, I'm not used to that. So like, again, I still I still criticize my district because they could do a lot better. They can, and they choose not to. But now seeing how certain students are at Morgan and the professors are at Morgan, I'm just like, okay, like maybe like I am grateful. I shouldn't like be so hard on this particular topic, but yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Because my story was nothing like that. I'm gonna let you know that now. Like I was that A student with a brilliant mind in a messed up district. I went to Hartford. I went to Sands. After Sands, I went to Martin Luther King. After Martin Luther King, there was two other schools I went to, and then that's when I actually moved to, it's called East Hartford. And after East Hartford don't have the best district, but I was always a brilliant kid. Like I didn't care about the system because I know what I wanted from the system. And AB classes, I think once I graduated, that's when they had it. So all my research that I need to get extra knowledge from, I had to go to the library. Yes, there was a library.
Yeah, I was going to say. And did you really have a library card?
I did have a library
No,
card.
like the one that came into the slot that you just. Now they give cards.
I had to fill out my name, and then if I didn't return the book, I get fined.
Yeah, and did you have to sign it out as well?
Yep, I did.
Dinosaur ages.
Old school junk. Look at that. But
yeah. Yeah.
So it is honestly, I love the good point. I love your viewpoints on being in the West Hartford district and stuff like that, and realizing what you had without even knowing.